Greetings for the day. I'm Dr. Prasanna, Associate Professor from Department of Management, Kristu Jayanti College, Bengaluru. In this session, we will be discussing about the most important topic in income tax, wherein we'll be discussing about on how to set off and carry forward of losses. So, in income tax, the topic set off and carry forward is gaining more importance. Reason, most of us always assume that whatever we have made profit, we are going to pay tax. But income tax also has a provision wherein the losses can be adjusted. So in this session, we will be discussing on what does set off and what does carry forward mean. As far as set off and carry forward is concerned, there are two types of losses. So in set off of losses and carry forward of losses. Set off of losses is further divided into two. One is set off within the same head of income, that we call it as inter-head of set off losses, and set off against other heads of income or intra-head set off. What are the basic conditions that requires to be followed? Suppose if an individual is making any kind of an income and that income is completely exempted from tax, then in such kind of activity, if he is making any loss, such loss cannot be adjusted as well. For instance, there is an agricultural income which is completely exempted from income tax. Hence, if there is any loss incurred by such agricultural activity, such loss cannot be adjusted from any other taxable income. Next, what is meaning of intra-head adjustment? If in any year a taxpayer is incurring any loss, say for instance, if he is carrying on his business activity A and he has incurred any loss in such business activity, such loss can be adjusted with any other business what he is carrying on. For instance, if there is an adjustment of loss that has have been incurred by in business A, such loss can be adjusted from profits of business B. This is what we call it as intra-head adjustment. Then we have certain conditions that need to be followed with regards to intra-head adjustment of losses. Very specifically, we have the first item to be considered as speculative loss. Speculative loss cannot be adjusted with any other income. Very specifically, if there is any speculative income, it can be used to adjust the speculative loss. Whereas, in case there is a speculative income and there is any loss from other business, the other business loss can be adjusted with speculative income. So precisely to say, speculative loss cannot be adjusted with any other losses, any other gain, and whereas speculative income can be utilized to adjust any other business losses. Next, long-term capital loss. Long-term capital loss cannot be adjusted with short-term, whereas short-term gain can be utilized, or long-term gain can be utilized to adjust your short-term loss as well. Next, the no loss can be set off from any kind of winnings or lottery tickets from your crossword puzzles, horse race winnings, card games, or any other game activity of that sort, or even in case of gambling, betting. All these losses cannot be adjusted with any other source of income. These are called as casual incomes. Loss from business of owing and maintaining of horses cannot be adjusted from any other business. If there is any income that has been made out of horse race maintenance, that income can be utilized to adjust the horse maintenance losses. Next, we will see what is inter-head adjustment. Now, when we say that there is a loss that has occurred in one business activity and that can be adjusted with another business activity, this is what we call as intra-head. So there are chances that in any particular year, such loss cannot be even adjusted. That case, there is always an income tax permits to transfer the loss or shift the loss, or it can be adjusted with any other source of income. That's what we call it as inter-head adjustment. Suppose there is a loss from house property, it can be adjusted with your salary income. So this is one option where income tax gives to adjust with other heads of income, which we call it as inter-head adjustments. Next, restrictions what are to be kept in mind while we making this inter-head adjustments of losses. Before making inter-head adjustments, the first rule is that we have to try to adjust with the same head of income. If there is business loss, business income, it should be tried to be adjusted. If not, only we should go for inter-head adjustments. Second, speculative loss cannot be set off against any other income. Then speculative gain can be used to set off any other business losses. Loss under the head capital gains cannot be set off from income from any other heads. No loss can be set off against winnings or any casual incomes. Loss from business or profession cannot be set off against salary. And last one, loss under the head of house property shall be allowed to set off against any other heads of income only to the extent of rupees 2 lakh for any particular assessment year. If that is exceeding it, we have other options which we'll be looking at the next slide. We can carry forward of unadjusted losses for adjusting in the next year. So, for instance, we saw there is an house property loss which we were not able to adjust with salary income in a particular year. That loss can be carried forward for the next year. What we call it as carried forward of unadjusted losses. This unadjusted losses which has been carried forward, there is one very specific rule which states that if that loss which has been carried forward has to be adjusted if there is income under the same head only. So there is a provision with regarding to carry forward of losses to be adjusted under the same head if there is income in the subsequent year under the same head. Loss of house property, business, capital gains can be adjusted until 8 years. Whereas loss from speculation or owing and maintenance of horses can be adjusted only for 4 years, beyond which such adjustment or such losses cannot be carried forward any further. So it has to be set off once for a while. Last, unabsorbed depreciation. This unabsorbed depreciation can be carried forward for n number of years. There is no restriction with regarding to unabsorbed depreciation. Until it has been completely absorbed, it can be carried forward. And with that, we come to the end of this session. So further information regarding the set off and carry forward will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.